Welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the daily current affair analysis dated 19th of April 2023. So today we are going to discuss some of the most important articles that have been in news from multiple sources like The Hindu, then Indian Express newspapers. So let us quickly understand the topics that we are going to cover during the day. Okay. So we are going to cover these topics one by one. The first topic is, it says ISRO plans to launch Telios on April 2022. Okay. So we are going to understand about ISRO. We are going to understand about this particular satellite which is going to be launched by ISRO, and we are going to understand about various other issues associated with launching of satellites and Earth's orbit. Okay. So this topic is important under science and technology. Okay, this is important under science and technology, and it is important for the prelims examination. Okay, for the upcoming prelims examination. It was there in page number 6 in today's The Hindu newspaper. Apart from this, we are going to look into another topic. It says message for the planners in dealing with the dragon. Okay, so in this article we are going to learn about India-China relationship. Okay, we are going to understand about those areas where India and China have a strain in their relationship because of some disputes in border areas. Okay, so through this article we will understand about defense acquisition related things, and we will understand about viewpoints of the author. Okay, what the author suggests for those people who are planning. Okay, who are planning the defense acquisition related thing. Okay, so this article is important under international relations. It is important for GS paper 2 of the mains exam. Okay, GS paper 2 of the mains exam. So this topic is important for the mains exam under GS paper 2. Apart from this, we are going to look into another topic. This is topic number 3 for the day. In this topic we will understand about what are the latest developments in Yemen. Okay, we are going to understand about latest developments in Yemen, and also we are going to look into the Stockholm Agreement. We will understand about what is a Stockholm Agreement, who are the parties to Stockholm Agreement, and why Stockholm Agreement is in news recently. Okay, why it is in news. We are going to understand all of it in this article. So this article is also important. Okay, this article is also important for international relations. It is important for GS paper 2 for the mains exam, and also it is important for the upcoming prelims examination. Okay, upcoming prelims exam of 2023. After this we are going to look into the fourth topic. The fourth topic is about, it says India plans to appeal against WTO ruling on IT tariffs. Okay, so government of India is planning that it is going to appeal against a ruling, against a decision that was taken by World Trade Organization. Okay, so we will understand about this particular issue, and apart from this we will understand about what is World Trade Organization. We will understand what is World Trade Organization, how many members does it have, and also we will understand about if a particular country becomes a member of World Trade Organization, what benefits does it get. Okay, so we will understand all of it. This topic is also important under international relations. Okay, and we will understand about the international organization which is WTO. It is important for GS paper 2 of mains exam, and also it is important for the prelims examination. Okay, this topic is important for the prelims exam as well. Apart from this, we are going to look into another topic. It says, how is a civil union different from marriage? Okay, so in this article we will understand about the difference between civil union and marriage. So this topic clarifies some of the points related to legal opinion about a civil union and marriage. So we will understand about this thing also, because recently Supreme Court of India has taken up a case to decide on same sex marriages, and these topics are related to that one. Okay, so we will understand this thing, and this topic was in Indian Express. Okay, Indian Express under explained section. Okay, in today's newspaper, it was in page number 14 of the Indian Express newspaper. So with this, let us quickly understand about these topics one by one. Okay, let us quickly understand about these topics one by one. Okay. So the first topic for the day, okay, in this topic we are going to understand about what ISRO is planning to do. ISRO means Indian Space Research Organization. It is the apex level organization in India that is involved in space research activities, right? So this particular organization is planning to launch a satellite, and this particular satellite belongs to, okay, this particular satellite belongs to some other country. Which country does it belong to? It belongs to Singapore, okay. This satellite belongs to Singapore, and name of the satellite that ISRO is planning to launch is Telos 2, okay. So this particular satellite that ISRO is planning to launch, it is an Earth observation satellite, okay. This is an Earth observation satellite, EOS, Earth observation satellite. So in this article we will understand about what are Earth observation satellites. We will understand about what are Earth observation satellites. Apart from this, we will also understand which vehicle will be used by ISRO to launch this particular satellite. So ISRO is going to use Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, which is in short known as PSLV. So we will understand about PSLV also. What are PSLVs? Okay, what is PSLV? And using PSLV, like why they are launching the satellite, okay, means like we are going to understand about the significance of PSLV, and we are going to understand about the Earth orbits as well, okay. So this particular satellite that is being launched, it is an Earth observation satellite, and it is going to be launched by ISRO using Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, okay. And so we are going to understand about this particular thing, okay. So let us understand this topic now. Now, so the first topic, okay, the first topic is related to ISRO, and ISRO is launching a satellite which is like Telos, Telos 2, and this particular satellite belongs to Singapore, okay, this particular satellite belongs to Singapore. Now we need to understand one specific thing, that like Indian Space Research Organization is a premier research organization of India. So it does research activities related to space research. It launches satellite that belongs to India, and it also launches satellites that belongs to some other countries, okay, that belongs to other countries. For example, Singapore. So India has also launched satellite of let's say Israel, launch satellite of USA, launch satellite of Canada. So we have launched satellites of many other countries. So these satellites are launched of other countries through some kind of collaboration that we have with those countries, okay. And through these international collaborations, Indian Space Research Organization gains financially. This is one part, okay. And for this particular thing, ISRO has a department which is known as ANTRIX, okay. It has a department known as ANTRIX that actually what it does, it collaborates with foreign parties, okay. It collaborates with foreign parties. And this particular satellite, which is Telos, so this particular satellite is a Earth observation satellite, okay. This is an Earth observation satellite. What is this? This particular satellite is known as a Earth observation satellite. So what do we mean by Earth observation satellite? So Earth observation satellites are those satellites using which we can see the Earth. I mean, like these satellites are launched right in a place above the surface of the Earth, from where we can see the Earth. I mean, like we can see some of the landscapes in Earth. Some Earth observation satellites have we do have multiple Earth observation satellites, and they have multiple use cases. Some of the satellites are used for seeing the land borders, okay, to safeguard the border. Some of them are used for, let's say, seeing the surface of the ocean. Some of the Earth observation satellites are used for city planning, okay. These are known as cartosats, okay, cartosats. So we have multiple type of Earth observation satellites, and they have various applications, okay. They have various applications, and applications include observing the Earth, okay, observing the Earth. And so these satellites are launched, okay, these satellites are launched in low Earth orbit generally, okay. Earth observation satellites are launched in low Earth orbit, so that like we can keep on seeing the satellite. This is one thing. And apart from this, like, do we have some Indian examples of Earth observation satellite? Yes, we do have Indian examples of Earth observation satellites also. What are the Indian examples. One of the satellite is known as IRS satellite. Okay, IRS satellite. Okay, so IRS satellite is like, you know, Indian remote sensing satellite. Okay, IRS stands for Indian remote sensing satellite. So this is also a Earth observation satellite that belongs to India. Okay, this is like, we are just deviating from the topic just to understand the topic in detail, okay, in a comprehensive manner. So we have Indian remote sensing satellite. This is an example of Earth observation satellite. Apart from this, we do have other examples also. For example, we have Cartosat. Okay, we have Cartosat series of satellite. Okay, Cartosat satellite in India. And like, what is the application of Cartosat? This is used for mapping purposes. Okay, when we are talking about city planning or town planning, okay, or urban planning, we use a kind of satellite which is urban or rural planning. We use Cartosat satellites. Okay, apart from this, we have RISAT, okay, which is known as RISAT satellites. Okay, RISAT means radar imaging satellites. Okay, radar, RISAT stands for radar imaging satellites. Okay, radar imaging satellites. So India has radar imaging satellites that are Earth observation satellites. Okay, radar imaging satellites are Earth observation satellites. Apart from this, we do have other examples also, like, you know, we have ResourceSat satellite. So this ResourceSat satellite was recently in news. Okay, ResourceSat satellite. ResourceSat satellite. So this was also recently in news because, like, you know, the ISRO has recently launched one of the versions of ResourceSat satellite. So all these satellites that I have listed over here, like IRS satellite, Cartosat satellite, then we have RISAT. RISAT means radar imaging satellite, ResourceSat satellite. These are examples of Earth observation satellite, and the satellite that ISRO is going to launch on 22nd of April, okay, on 22nd of April, which is Telios 2. This satellite belongs to Singapore, so Singapore is going to be benefited from this particular satellite. But since, like, you know, India is launching, it is going to get financially benefited out of this collaboration. But like, India does have its own Earth observation satellites, and these are the examples of Earth observation satellites. What are the applications? I have already told. Okay, applications are for observing the surface of the Earth, for observing various features of the Earth. Okay, so, like, you know, it helps the country in multiple arenas, multiple areas. And apart from this, so like, if ISRO, okay, ISRO means Indian Space Research Organization. If ISRO is launching these satellites, ISRO needs a launch vehicle. What it needs? It needs a launch vehicle for launching these satellites. Okay, so let us talk about launch vehicles quickly. Okay, launch vehicles. So which launch vehicle will be used by ISRO? ISRO is going to use PSLV. Okay, ISRO is going to use PSLV C-55. So this is just a variant of PSLV. PSLV stands for Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. Okay, PSLV stands for Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. Okay, this is one of the launch vehicle that ISRO has. Apart from this, ISRO has Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle, then Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle Mark III. We have, you know, small satellite launch vehicles. We have augmented satellite launch vehicles. We do have multiple types of satellite launch vehicles. So this particular launch vehicle will be used by ISRO for launching that particular Telios satellite, okay, that belongs to Singapore. Okay, now if we talk about Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, when this particular satellite launch vehicle is used, to which, I mean, like, to which orbit, to which Earth orbit does it launch the satellites? So let us understand. Let's say this is the Earth. Okay, what is this? This is the Earth. Okay, so I'll be just writing about. Let's say this is the Earth. Okay, and if we are launching a Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, so it is going to, like, you know, it is going to let me draw the diagram. It is going to launch the satellite in this particular orbit, which is known as polar orbit. Okay, this particular orbit is known as polar orbit. Okay, this particular orbit is known as polar orbit, and this orbit passes through the poles of the Earth. Okay, so on the top we have North Pole, On the top we have North Pole, and on the south we have South Pole. Okay. So this PSLV launches the satellite on polar orbits. Okay. It launches the satellite on polar orbits, and these polar orbits passes over the pole of the surface of the earth. Okay. These satellites passes over the poles of the surface of the earth, and generally the polar orbit lie in the low earth orbit range. Okay. Low earth orbit, which is in short known as LEO. So all those orbits that are at a height, at an altitude above the surface of earth which is less than 2000 kilometers. Okay. All the orbits, LEO lies at a at a range which is less than 2000 kilometers. Okay. They are known as low earth orbit, and basically this polar orbit lies at a height of polar orbit lies at a height of 475 kilometer. Okay. How how far means how high, how how at what distance from the surface of the earth. So this polar orbit lies at a height of 475 kilometer above the surface of the earth. So this particular orbit lies in the low earth orbit range. Okay. So we do have multiple orbits. Okay. We do have multiple orbits. One of the orbit is known as low earth orbit, then we have medium earth orbit, we have high earth orbit, we have geosynchronous earth orbit, then we have geostationary earth orbit. We do have multiple orbits, but this PSLV is going to launch vehicle in polar orbits, and also that orbit lies in the range of 475 kilometer. So this is the plan of ISRO, and ISRO is going to launch a vehicle in this particular orbit. Okay. So for a quick summary, which satellite ISRO is launching? ISRO is launching Telios 2, which is an earth observation satellite, and this particular satellite belongs to ISRO. Okay. So, and earth observation satellite, does India also have, do we have earth observation satellite? These are examples of earth observation satellite. Okay. There are multiple applications of it, and apart from this we have also understood about this polar satellite launch vehicle. Just remember one thing, the polar satellite launch vehicle PSLV, okay, this PSLV was used by ISRO for launching the Mars orbiter mission also. Okay, for launching Mars orbiter mission, for launching Mars orbiter mission. Okay. So this particular satellite launch vehicle PSLV was used by ISRO for launching Mars orbiter mission, the mission that we started in November 2013. Okay, it reached the orbit of the Mars in 2014. So for launching that particular satellite also ISRO has used PSLV. And apart from this, if you talk about from which place is it going to launch, okay, from which place is it going to launch the satellite? It is going to launch the satellite from Sriharikota. Okay, it is going to launch the satellite from Sriharikota. Where is Sriharikota located? Okay, let me just quickly draw the map of the southern portion of India. Sriharikota is located somewhere here. Okay. Okay, Sriharikota, where is it located? It is located in Andhra Pradesh. It is located in Andhra Pradesh. So here at Sriharikota, ISRO has a center which is known as Satish Dhawan Space Center. Okay, it is known as Satish Dhawan Space Center. From Satish Dhawan Space Center, ISRO is going to launch this particular satellite, which is Telios 2. Okay, TELEOS 2. Okay, it is going to launch it from here. Okay. So with this, let us understand about the next topic. Okay, let us understand about the next topic quickly. Okay, so this is the location of Sriharikota, you see. This is the location of Sriharikota. From here, ISRO is going to launch the polar satellite launch vehicle. It is going to launch the polar satellite launch vehicle from here. So with this, let us see some maps also connected with this. Okay. So here these are some of the ISRO centers of ISRO. Centers means these are the places where ISRO does one or other activity. Okay. And this is the image of polar satellite launch vehicle PSLV. The image that you can see over here. This is the image of Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, and the center that you can see over here, this is Satish Dhawan Space Center. Okay, this is Satish Dhawan Space Center, and from here it is located in Sriharikota, like in the image that I have shown earlier. So it is located in Sriharikota, and from here they are going to launch the satellite. Okay, and these are other places also where, like, ISRO has one or other center. For example, Sriharikota, it has Satish Dhawan Space Center. Apart from this, in Telangana they have National Remote Sensing Center. So overall, like, across India in multiple places, mostly in, like, bordering areas, ISRO has its centers. Okay, from these centers ISRO does one or other activity. Okay, why I am showing these centers? Because, like, UPSC does ask questions from these areas. Okay, UPSC does ask question from these areas, and there was an instance that UPSC has asked a question, okay, related to a center that that is connected with, okay, that is connected with just a minute, that is connected with DRDO. Okay, so ISRO has asked a question in UPSC Prelims examination. What was that question? It has asked that at one of the places in India, okay, let's consider, so it has asked that at one of the places in India, like, if you stand over there, this is a seashore. Okay, this is a location which is seashore. So at this particular place, if you stand over here, right, during the day, you will find, okay, it is seashore, you will find that this that the water in the seashore is receding. Receding means, like, if you are standing over here, the water will go away, many kilometers. Okay, water will go away many kilometers, and you will be able to see the seashore. I mean, like, you will be able to see the, I mean, like, surface of the sea, and you can walk along it. So, like, it goes many kilometers away 2 times in a day. Okay, 2 times in a day. Okay, and you can actually walk on the seashore, like, when the water recedes. So ISRO has asked, like, what is the name of this particular location? What is the name of this spatial location? So I will read out that question for you quickly. It says, at one of the places in India, if you stand on the seashore and watch the sea, you will find that the sea water recedes from this shoreline a few kilometers and comes back to the shore twice a day. And you can actually walk on the sea floor when the water recedes. This unique phenomena is seen at. So they have, given you the detail that, like, if you are standing on the seashore, from here you can actually see that the sea water recedes. It goes, many kilometers away. You can walk on the sea floor, and it happens twice in a day. So they have asked, what is the location? Okay, what is the name of the location where this happens? So they have given multiple options. Okay, they have given multiple options. One of the option was Chandipur. Okay, one of the option was Chandipur. One of the option was Chandipur, and this was the right answer. Why they have asked this particular question? Because this particular seashore has some significance. What significance does this seashore has? That, like, you can see high tide and low tide, okay, in this particular seashore twice in a day. Okay, you can see the tidal phenomena over here, and this is Chandipur, and Chandipur is the place where, like, DRDO, which is Defense Research and Development Organization, okay, they have integrated test center. Okay, DRDO has its integrated DRDO has integrated test center at this particular location, okay, in Chandipur. So that's why they have asked. So, like, the question, the topic that we have read, this topic is important because of the location of Sriharikota and because of the, satellite that ISRO is launching. I mean, like, that it is a Earth observation satellite. Apart from this, the satellite vehicle, which is Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, this is also important. The orbit of the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. These are important things with reference to this article. Okay. So having learned this, let us, move to the next topic quickly. Okay. So this particular topic is about a message for the planners in dealing with the dragon. Okay. So here, like, the author who has written this article, the name of the author is Manmohan Bahadur. He is a retired Air Force Vice Marshal and Additional Director General for Center for Air Power Studies. Okay. So he says that as power is not just about possessing capability, but also about the capacity to last the distance. India's defense acquisition plans needs to be oriented suitably. So let us understand about this article in detail. Now, so like we are going to learn about this particular article where the author has given a message, okay. It has given a message for the planners, okay, for the planners to deal with the dragon, okay, to deal with the dragon. Now we need to understand that this particular topic is related to international relations. It is important for understanding the India-China relation, okay, India-China relation. It is important for understanding the India-China relation, and this topic is important for GS paper 2 of the UPSC mains exam, okay, GS paper 2 of UPSC mains examination. Now let us understand about this topic, okay. So in this article the author talks about that, like talks about multiple things, and before that, like I would like to discuss about some of the concepts with you. One of the concept is known as soft power, okay. So we will understand about soft power and hard power, okay. So let us understand about hard power first, okay, soft power versus hard power. Hard power, what do we mean by hard power? Hard power means, let's consider like India is a country, okay. India being a country, so India needs to be firm in the sense it should be able to guard its border, it should be able to defend its sovereignty, it should be able to defend its territorial integrity. For that purpose India needs to maintain some kind of force with it, okay. Force, why we need to maintain force? So that like we can have minimum credible deterrence against any kind of attack on us, okay. For that purpose India maintains hard power. What do we mean by hard power? Maintaining defense forces. For example, like hard power means, like if you talk about international relations, the countries maintain showcase their hard power through multiple measures. One of the measure is like, let's say, usage of force, okay, usage of force or coercion, okay, usage of force or coercion or economic sanction, okay, or economic sanction. What do we mean by this? Let's say like India is a country, so India needs to defend its territorial integrity, it needs to defend its border, it needs to defend its sovereignty. For that purpose, like India will may use force if there is some threat on it, okay. So for that purpose, one of the type of forces, one of the type of power, okay, is known as hard power. So hard power involves usage of force in any manner, like using the land based force, air force, or any other nuclear power weapons, etc., right. So usage of force, coercion or economic sanction. So if we use any of these things, you might have heard about that, like like United States of America, they put sanctions on some of its adversary countries. So that's usage of hard power. And like if we talk about Russia, okay, Russia has attacked on Ukraine. So a war is going on between Ukraine and Russia, where Ukraine is trying to defend its sovereignty, it is trying to defend its country from Russia. So Russia is using hard power against Ukraine, okay. So this is known as hard power. So after understanding hard power, let us also understand about soft power. What do we mean by soft power? Soft power means like influencing the other country, okay. If we influence the other country using some kind of diplomatic ties, okay, diplomatic ties through negotiation or through cultural integration, okay. So if we have cultural exchange programs, if we have academic exchange programs, if we do some kind of cultural influence to the other country, that is known as usage of soft power. Soft power uses diplomatic means, okay, diplomatic means, okay, diplomatic means, and apart from this, like cultural exchanges, academic ties, people to people contact, okay, people to people contact, etc. So this is known as soft power. So like, you know, when we talk about international relations, countries do maintain, you know, hard power as well as soft power. So now if we talk about, you know, dispute that is going on between India and China, okay. So if we talk about India and China in the like, you know, in the borders, okay, let's say like, you know, in the now, so this is where like we have northeastern portion of India, and in the northeastern portion of India here we have a border line which is known as McMahon line, okay, it is known as McMahon line, okay. This particular line, this particular border line that we can see over here, this is known as McMahon line, okay, this is McMahon line. So this signifies the border of India with China in northeastern region, okay. So here we have a state which is Arunachal Pradesh, okay, Arunachal Pradesh. We have this state Arunachal Pradesh over here, and recently you might have come across in newspapers that like, you know, China is renaming some of the, you know, places in Arunachal Pradesh. What China is doing? China is renaming places in Arunachal Pradesh, okay, renaming places in Arunachal Pradesh. And this is not liked by India, because like India has rightful and legal you know, like control over the borders in Arunachal Pradesh. We do have, you know, like legal and rightful control in the borders in Arunachal Pradesh. So like, you know, this is a territory that belongs to India. However, China thinks that like it is a disputed territory. China thinks that like these areas in the Arunachal Pradesh, it belongs to them. So because of this particular thing, you know, some kind of tension is going on between India and China, okay. Some tension is going on between India and China, and recently there has been border disputes also between India and China. And here, like in this particular article, the author wants to give a message to the planners, okay, to fight against, okay, or like, you know, to tackle the dragon. Dragon means like when they are talking about dragon, so they are referring to China, okay. When they are talking about dragon, they are referring to China, that like, you know, China as a country can be called as dragon, okay, can be called as dragon. So this is the dispute that is happening. So if we talk about like what is the viewpoint of author, so author, like in the article, he says multiple things. One of the thing is like, you know, in the article, the authors you know, talks about a person whose name is Sunju, okay, Sunju. So who was Sunju? Sunju was a military general, okay. Sunju was a military general of China, in China, okay. He was a military general in China, Sunju. And he was a very acclaimed military general. Acclaimed means like, you know, people used to consider that he was one of the most powerful military general, and he knew the tactics of warfare, okay. He knew the tactics of warfare. What do we mean by tactics of warfare? So Sunju used to say that like, you know, if you want to wage a war, if you want to fight a war, you can win the war even without like, you know, going into the war. So like, you know, he was a person who was very diplomatic, like he was a military diplomatic person, like, you know, and he was a very acclaimed, okay, military generals in China. So in this article, the author says that the posture that China is following now is similar to the policies that Sunju used to adopt when he used to go to warfare, okay. When he used to go to warfare, Sunju used to adopt some kind of tactics for every warfare, and he knew lot of tactics for warfare. So so the author says that like, you know, China as of now, it is not actually attacking on the border, it is not actually attacking India. It has not, let's say like, you know, like sent its soldiers over there, but somehow China is renaming its borders. So China is not directly waging war, but like at the same time it is not remaining calm also, okay. It is, you know, making the water simmering, means like it's not letting the water boil also, it is letting the water simmering. So that's what the author is saying. So the author says that, like, you know, Xi Jinping, the Chinese like premier, the head of the state of China. So Xi Jinping actually, what he does, Xi Jinping actually at this point of time, he is following some, you know, some of the tactics that that were followed by Sun Tzu, okay, that were followed by Sun Tzu. And at the same time, he also follows Maoism, okay, Maoism. Maoism means, like, you know, like staying in a state of, let's say, challenge all the time. I mean, like, you know, being in a perpetual state of challenge, okay. So this is what the author is saying. Apart from this, the author also says that, like, you know, since China is a bigger economy, it's a bigger country than India. So India should not take China lightly, okay. Means like we should not only be having a weapon to deter China, but like we should be having sufficient amount of weapons so that, like, we can last long, okay, we can last long if in case, like, you know, we happen to come in a state of war with China. So in that case, like, you know, the author has given example of tension between Russia and Ukraine. Author has given example of tension between Russia and Ukraine, and it is saying that Ukraine, being a very small country, is like, you know, was able to defend itself against Russia, and that warfare is happening for over a year. It has been more than a year that, like, you know, warfare is happening between Ukraine and Russia, but at the same time Ukraine has not given up. So we should also maintain a posture that, like, you know, we should be able to defend our territory, we should be able to defend our country, and for that purpose, what we should do, we should import, you know, those like, you know, equipments that are needed by our defense forces. For example, the Indian Air Force, it may require, you know, many weapons and all. And at the same time, the author, you know, criticizes about, like, you know, slow development of Sukhoi. Okay, Sukhoi is one of the kind of like, you know, what we say, planes that are used by Indian Air Force, right? It is a kind of warfare plane, okay. So it is used by Indian Air Force, IAF, okay, Sukhoi. So the author says that, like, India should keep on developing Sukhoi, okay, keep on developing Sukhoi, and like we should have huge number of Sukhoi. So he wants to give a message to those people who are the planners, okay, who are the planners, defense planners, okay. So he wants to give a message that, like, you know, you should keep on increasing your weapons, okay, so that, like, you know, we are in a state of defending ourselves, and like we should have credible deterrence against China as well, okay. So with this, like, we will understand about the next article. I hope, like, this article was clear. So here, like, you know, the author says, like, India should have at least you know, like should spend at least 3% of GDP in its defense budget, okay, so that, like, we can defend the country, I mean, we can defend India. So this is what the author says. So in your free time, you can read about this article, and the image that you can see over here, this is the image of Sun Tzu. Like, you know, the person I was referring to, he was one of the acclaimed military generals of China, okay. And here, like, you know, to the right side, you can see the borders, okay, the borders of India. So this is the McMahon line, okay. McMahon line is the border between India and China in the eastern sector, okay, in the eastern sector. Eastern sector means to the eastern part of India. So, like, you know, for China, it is the eastern sector. And so here, like, this is the place where it is occupied by India, it is under control of India, but China claims that this particular territory belongs to it, and it has renamed many of the places in Arunachal Pradesh, okay. So this was the thing. So these are some other images that you can see, okay, that you can see just to understand this particular thing. So here the dashed line over here, red one that you can see, you know, to the north of it, China claims that it belongs to it. However, like, you know, it belongs to India, and India has total control over this particular region, okay. And here, like, you know, China has Tawang sector also. It has Tawang sector in this particular location itself. So with this, let us move to the next topic. And before that, like, you know, I have included 2 questions for you. You can note down these questions and you can write down their answers and, like, share it with us, okay. So I'll be sharing an email address. Okay, so that email address, after writing the answers to these questions, you can send your answer copies to this particular email address, or you can also speak to our reception person 9654 034 You can speak to anyone in our reception and they will help you with this. Okay, so you need to write these two questions. These questions are for the mains exam, because the article that we discussed, this is primarily important for the UPSC mains examination under GS paper 2. Okay, so I will read out the question for you so that you can take a note, and also we are going to upload this particular PDF in the description of this YouTube video. Okay, you will come across this particular PDF so that you can read it, okay, in your free time. So the first question is, what are the key challenges facing India-China relationship? What are the key challenges facing India and China relationship? Means like what are the challenges that are going on between India and China? Okay. Then suggest measures to address these challenges. You need to suggest measures to address these challenges, and then you need to conclude it in a manner so that, like, you know, it is a balanced answer. So you need to write this this answer in 150 words. It is a 10 marks question. Apart from this, I have another question for you. It says, how does the ongoing territorial dispute between India and China impact their bilateral relationship, and what steps can be taken to resolve this dispute? Okay, so now they are talking about, like, you know, territorial dispute, the territorial dispute that is going on between India and China. So there are multiple areas, like, you know, multiple border points, areas where India and China has disputed borders. One of the disputed area we discussed in this article, which is the, I mean, like, eastern sector for China, and, like, you know, for India it is northeast India in Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, in Arunachal Pradesh. So there we have border dispute. Then, like, we have western sector also, there we have border dispute. So there are many places where we have border disputes between India and China. Okay, territorial disputes. So this question asks about how does the ongoing territorial dispute between India and China impact the bilateral relationship. And since we have territorial disputes, so, like, it is impacting our bilateral relationship between India and China. Okay, and what steps can be taken to resolve this dispute? You need to suggest the steps that India can take so that, like, we can resolve this particular dispute. Okay, so after this we will move to the next topic. We will understand the next topic. So I hope you might have noted down the email address and the number. Okay, after writing your answer, you can send it to this email, and, like, we will try to let's say, like, we will evaluate the answer and send it back to you. Let us move to the next topic. Okay, now this is another topic. In this topic we will understand about what are the latest developments in Yemen. Okay, in Yemen. So, like, you know, little bit it is cutting to the right side. We won't be reading from here, just you need to understand the heading. It says, what are the latest developments in Yemen? Okay, what are the latest developments in Yemen? So Yemen was recently in news, and Yemen is a country. Okay, Yemen is a country. So I will show that country to you, where is Yemen located, so that we can discuss about it. Okay, so see, this is the location of Yemen. This is Yemen, the red marked region in the world map. This is Yemen, and so to the north of Yemen, this is Saudi Arabia. Okay, this is Saudi Arabia. This is Saudi Arabia, and here, like, you know, this is Iran. This particular country over here, this is Iran. Okay, this is Iran. So what is happening over here, that, like, you know, Yemen as a country, this particular country has gone through a series of, you know, unrest in its own country. I mean, like, people were fighting against one another in Yemen. Okay, so there was a kind of civil rebellion that has, you know, arisen in Yemen. So when it arose, how it arose, and what is the present scenario, we are going to understand. And for that thing, we need to understand about the recent context, what has happened. So recently, I mean like, recently what has happened, because of some agreement, these parties, I mean like there are warring parties, the parties that are fighting with one another, these parties have, mutually released the detainees, released the prisoners of war, so some kind of warfare was happening. So they have released the detainees, the people whom they have, kept in prison earlier, they have released it. For understanding this particular article, we will go into detail just to understand it quickly, okay? Just give me a minute, so we'll understand about it. So let us understand about the topic. Name of the topic is, what are the latest developments in Yemen? Okay, topic number, this is 3. What are the latest developments in Yemen? This is the name of the topic. So we need to understand that Yemen is a country, it's a sovereign country, okay, it's a sovereign country that lies in the, Arabian Peninsula, to the south portion of Arabian Peninsula. So if we talk about location of Yemen, so if we just draw the Arabian Peninsula somehow like this, okay, so this is the location of Yemen. And to the north of it, we have Saudi Arabia, okay, we have Saudi Arabia to the north of it. And over here we have another country which is Iran. If we talk about Iran as a country, so Iran is a Shia dominated country, okay, so we have the population of Shia Muslims in Iran mostly, okay, Shia Muslims. And if we talk about Saudi Arabia, we have Sunni population, okay, Sunni Muslims, right? So Saudi Arabia, Sunni Muslims, Iran, Shia Muslims. So basically what has happened in Yemen, okay, in Yemen in the year of 2011, okay, 2011, Arab Spring came, Arab Spring, okay. So we need to understand what is Arab Spring. So Arab Spring was a phenomena where people were rebelling, okay, they were rebelling against the established governments over there. So earlier, like many of the countries in Arabian Peninsula, Arabian Peninsula and also in Africa, some portion of Africa, like Northern Africa, these countries were ruled by the rulers. I mean like kings used to rule the countries. So they were under the occupation of kings. And many people, started demanding socialist countries, started demanding, democratic country. And for that thing, civilian uprising started happening, okay. Uprising means people started rebelling, doing rebellion against the established government. So this thing also happened in Yemen when in 2011, in the year 2011, the Arab Spring happened in Yemen, and after then, okay, one of the ruler, the person who was ruling the country, he had to depose, he had to, give away his post. And after then the power was transferred to his deputy, okay, the power was transferred to his deputy when, uprising happened in Yemen, okay. So power was given to the deputy in the year of 2014, okay, power was given. And after then, okay, after then what has happened, his deputy, he has got this particular country in a state of turmoil, which was, the country was economically weak, okay, this country was economically weak. Apart from this, okay, this country was economically weak. Apart from this, like if we talk about defense related capacity, so defense related capability, okay, to defend itself, okay, that has also gone down, okay. So low defending capacity, okay, low defending capacity. And at this point of time, what has happened? At this point of time, so in Yemen there are multiple religious groups or multiple kind of variation between people. So one of the kind of persons that were here, they are known as Houthis, okay, they were known as Houthis. So Houthi people, these people were supported by Iran. and they have rebelled against Yemen. Okay, they have rebelled against Yemen. They have taken control on certain territories, many territories in Yemen. Okay, so they had taken control of many territories, and also not only territories, they have taken control of the capital of Yemen, which was Sana'a. Okay, capital of Yemen. They have controlled the capital of Yemen also, Sana'a. Okay, and after this particular incident means like where the rebellions, the Houthi rebels, they are supported by some other country, Iran, and because of this particular thing, this has raised alarm among the neighboring countries of Yemen, neighboring countries like Saudi Arabia, where they have, I mean, like, you know, different kind of population, the Sunni population. So Saudi Arabia then started a coalition. Coalition means like it started negotiating with other countries, and all those countries, they have together sent its forces. Okay, they have sent their forces in Yemen. Okay, they have sent their forces in Yemen, and these forces tried to defend Yemen against the Houthi rebellions. Okay, and these forces were in support of the government that was established in Yemen. Okay, government that was established that we referred, you know, after 2011. So this thing started happening, but like, you know, even after, you know, coalition people sending their forces, they were not able to completely, like push away the Houthi people. Okay, the Houthi people. So this was happening, and after then, what has happened after then, in the year of 2018, okay, in the year of 2018, this Stockholm Declaration, okay, Stockholm Agreement, or we can say Stockholm Declaration. In the year of 2018, they have signed Stockholm Agreement. Okay, Stockholm Agreement. So Stockholm, what is Stockholm? Stockholm is the name of a city which is located in Sweden. Okay, it is a city in Sweden. City means like it can be capital of Sweden. You need to check that information. So Stockholm Agreement was signed by the warring parties, by the warring parties. Who were the warring parties? The warring parties was, on one side there was, the government, Yemen government, that was supported by Saudi Arabia. Okay, Saudi Arabia has supported the Yemeni government, and and other parties were Houthis, who were supported by Iran. Okay, and apart from this, there are some like small groups also. So all the warring parties, they have together participated in the Stockholm agreement. They have discussed among themselves, and they have signed the Stockholm agreement in 2018. And this Stockholm agreement had 3 components. Okay, how many components? It had 3 components. One of the component of the Stockholm agreement is known as the Hudaya agreement. Okay, one of the agreement was the Hudaya agreement. So what was Hudaya agreement? Hudaya agreement means Hudaya is a port in Yemen. Okay, port you might be knowing, which is there near the sea. Okay, let's say this is the Arabian Peninsula and this is Yemen, and to this particular person they have this Hudaya port kind of thing. It was a port city. Okay, so as part of the Stockholm agreement, they had 3 important clauses. One of the clause was the Hudaya agreement. Under this particular agreement, all the warring parties have agreed that they will go for ceasefire. They will go for ceasefire. What do we mean by ceasefire? Means they are not going to station their military persons, they are not going to wage war in this particular region. That was one of the part of the this Stockholm agreement. The second part was they are going to release the prisoners. Okay, the prisoners exchange agreement. This is known as the prisoners exchange agreement. Prisoners exchange agreement. Under this, what happened, all those prisoners who were kept in detention by the Yemen government or like Saudi Arabia led coalition. So they are going to release those detained personals, they are going to release those prisoners. And also the Houthi people, I mean Houthi people, they have also kept under prison, I mean under detention some of the people who belong to, let's say Yemen government party. So they are also going to release it, okay. So all the warring parties, they are going to release the prisoners from here. And so recently this particular article was in news because the warring parties, they have released prisoners from both the sides. They have released the prisoners from both the sides. So that's why it was in news. Apart from this, they had another kind of agreement which is known as Ties agreement, okay. This is Ties agreement. So this was also a part of the Stockholm agreement itself, okay. So this is how, I mean this particular country was in news. So I hope you understood this particular context, that what are the latest development in Yemen. Yemen is a country, I mean it is in the Arabian Peninsula, and some peace disturbance was there because internal rebellion happened, civil which is known as civil war, okay. Civil war happened in Yemen, and for many years that civil war is going on. I mean for last 12 years civil war is going on, and recently the warring parties, they have released their prisoners, prisoners that they have kept in detention, they have released it. So that's why they are in news, that's why they were in news, okay. So let us quickly understand the locations again. So this is where the Yemen is located. So this is Yemen, then we have Saudi Arabia and Iran. So with this, we'll understand about some other important locations also. So this is part of this article itself, okay. We are going to understand some other locations. For example, like if we see this particular image, so this image showcases the Yemen as a country and its neighboring countries like Saudi Arabia, Oman, UAE, and we have here Red Sea, we have Gulf of Aden, then we have Persian Gulf, we have Gulf of Oman. So these are, I mean some of the let's say location that can help you in solving some answers if in the prelims they ask a geography based question related to straits or seas in this particular region, okay. Apart from this, here if we talk about this particular image, okay. So this is Yemen, the green color, this is Yemen, and this is Sana'a, okay. What is Sana'a? Sana'a is the capital of Yemen, and this Sana'a was taken control by Houthis in 2014, okay. They have taken control of this particular region, okay, in 2014. So that's why it was in news. That's why means both the warring parties have released the prisoners that they have kept in detention earlier, okay, recently. So now let us solve this question. This question is important for the prelims exam, UPSC prelims exam. So let us understand this question. It says, consider the following statements with reference to Stockholm Agreement 2018. Okay, Stockholm Agreement 2018. So it has 3 statements and we need to identify which of the statements are correct in this question. The first statement says that it is a ceasefire agreement between Houthis and Yemen government. Okay, it is a ceasefire agreement. Ceasefire means when the warring parties, they decide that we are not going to wage war in this particular region. We are not going to station our armed forces in this region. That is known as ceasefire. And also they will take back, if they have already stationed some of their armed forces, they will take back these stationed people from that particular region. Okay. So the first statement says it is a ceasefire agreement between Houthis and Yemen government. This statement is right. We have just understood this particular topic. After this, second statement says the agreement was brokered by the United Nations during the peace talk in Stockholm, Sweden. Okay. So I just forgot to mention this particular thing during our discussion, but the ceasefire agreement that has happened, it was part of a Stockholm agreement itself. That Stockholm agreement was brokered. Brokered means the United Nations organization. It acted as a mediator so that the warring parties can come together, they can discuss about ceasefire in this particular region. Okay. So this agreement was brokered by the United Nations. Okay. during the peace talks in Stockholm, Sweden. This is also a right statement. After this, the third statement, it says the agreement called for the establishment of demilitarized zone around the port of Hodeida. Okay, Hodeida. So we have seen, like, you know, Hodeida means like this is the name of the port, but like the agreement that had a different spelling, which is like Hudaya. Okay, so the agreement was known as Hudaya Agreement. Okay, so Hudaya Agreement was a part of the Stockholm Agreement itself. Okay, it was one of the three parts of the Stockholm Agreement. So it says the agreement called for establishment of a demilitarized zone. I mean, like a zone where ceasefire will happen, and like they are going to take back their armed forces from this particular port city or around this particular port, which is Hodeida. Okay, so this is also right. All the three statements are correct in this question. So the correct answer would be option D. Okay, 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3. And also, okay, also also apart from this, like, you know, this question, I mean, like there can be multiple questions from this topic itself, because like we discussed about many geographical locations also with respect to this. So now let us talk about another topic quickly. Okay, we'll discuss another topic quickly. Now, this topic is also important for us. This topic is important to understand about international organization, which is WTO. Okay, so it says India plans to appeal against WTO ruling on IT tariff. Okay, so the government of India has, I mean, like, you know, imposed some kind of taxation, some tariff on services, the information technology services that it was importing from other countries, and those other countries, they have filed case against India in World Trade Organization. Okay, so in that case, the World Trade Organization has given a judgment, and in that judgment, the India was a losing party. I mean, like, you know, we lost in that particular judgment, and so the government of India has decided that, like, you know, we are going to, you know, we are going to appeal against the ruling, you know, ruling of WTO. Okay, so this was the topic, you know, that was in news in the Hindu newspaper. So let us understand what is World Trade Organization. World Trade Organization is an international organization. It is an international or intergovernmental organization where the governments of different countries, I mean, like, you know, different countries are parties to it. Okay, so it is an intergovernmental organization. How many members does the WTO has, does World Trade Organization has? So World Trade Organization has 164 states and custom territories. So like 164 states and custom territories are part of World Trade Organization, and 98% of the world trade, the trade that happens across the world, you know, happens through World Trade Organization, through, I mean, like, member countries of World Trade Organization. So it's the largest, I would say, it's the largest, like, you know, trade body. Trade body means, like, you know, largest trade body in the world, World Trade Organization. So World Trade Organization has a package of agreement, you know, that is a set of international rules in the field of trade and protection of intellectual property rights. Okay, so this is thing. Apart from this, World Trade Organization acts as a platform for multilateral negotiation and the development of international trade rules, including the reduction of trade barrier. Okay, so like, you know, World Trade Organization also developed certain kind of trade rules for its, you know, member countries. Apart from this, it does have a dispute settlement system. If, you know, the countries that are doing trade among themselves, if they happen to have any kind of dispute, okay, if they happen to have any kind of dispute between them, so World Trade Organization does have a dispute settlement mechanism. Okay, so they have a dispute settlement body, and they also have an appellate tribunal. Okay, they have a dispute settlement body. If in case this dispute is not settled, you know, through the dispute settlement body, then the appeal against it will go to the appellate tribunal. Okay, so the dispute settlement system, it is the most effective among all the international organizations. Okay, it is claimed that the dispute settlement system of the World Trade Organization, it is the most effective among all international organizations. Apart from this, if we talk about source of information, like, So it ensures transparency in the application of trade policy measures by all members. I mean, like, you know, so for all members, it has a, it has a kind of policy measures and that are applicable to all members. Okay, so like, you know, it also takes decision on a consensus basis. If a new member wants to become a part of the World Trade Organization, they have to, okay, that particular, like, you know, all the existing members have to agree to it. If just one member does not agree to it, so like they are not going to include that particular country, like, you know, into the World Trade Organization system. Okay, so this is about this thing, and apart from this, let us understand some other important aspects also. Let's consider there is a country that becomes a member of World Trade Organization. So how that country is going to get benefited by being a member of the World Trade Organization? There are multiple aspects to it. We are going to understand that thing quickly. Okay, so if a country becomes a member of the World Trade Organization, what benefits does it have? One of the benefit it has is export diversification. What do we mean by export diversification? The member countries of the World Trade Organization do trade among themselves. So if a country becomes a member of World Trade Organization, so it becomes a member of that large body that has 164 members already. Okay, so like, you know, it opens up the market for this particular country. This country now can export, you know, its goods, its services to all other countries of World Trade Organization. Okay, so it leads to export diversification. Apart from this, okay, so this World Trade Organization has a transparent, predictable and attractive investment regime. It means a country that becomes a member of this particular organization, that country becomes a member of, becomes one of the member among all other members. So all other members, I mean, like, you know, they now think the new country to be an investment destination where they can invest their resources, they can invest their money in this particular country. Okay, so they can invest their money in this particular country. So this is like, you know, it provides a transparent, predictable and attractive investment regime. Apart from this, the participation in the development of new rules and principles of international trade. For example, if you become a member, if a country becomes a member of WTO, so like if WTO is framing a rule, framing a law for international trade policy, so that particular country also becomes a member country that has a say in formulation of international rules that governs the trades among these member countries. Okay, so like if a new member joins as a country, so that new member also gets its say, it has its power to say, you know, in rule framing process in the World Trade Organization. Apart from this, strengthening position in trade disputes. So for example, what happens, since the creation of WTO dispute settlement body, about half of the agreements have been resolved during the initial consultation. Okay, so whatever dispute countries have, okay, so those disputes are resolved in the initial consultation itself. It showcases that, like, you know, the World Trade Organization has one of the strongest dispute settlement body. Okay, it has one of the strongest dispute settlement body. Then increase in sovereign credit rating. Sovereign credit rating means, for example, like India is a country, right? It's a sovereign country. Many other countries are there. So countries are also rated, you know, based on its credit worthiness. I mean, like if Indian government wants to borrow some money from some other government, or let's say some other international organization like International Monetary Fund, World Trade Organization and all, since India is a member of WTO, so in that case the World Trade Organization or International Monetary Fund, they will give due consideration to giving loans to India. Why? Because like India is a member of WTO. And so that's why the credit rating agencies, like, you know, across the world, we have Credit Suisse, we have, you know, many like Standards and Poor. So they rate different countries based on its credit profile. I mean, like, you know, in how many cases that country was able to honor the financial obligation, means like the obligation to pay back for the loans that it has taken. Okay, so for that particular thing, the credit rating of the country also goes up. Okay, so these are the benefits of those countries that become member of the World Trade Organization. Okay, so having understood this, let us, you know, understand about some more things associated with this, or like, you know, we will move to the next topic also quickly. Now let us understand about this topic. This is going to be the last topic for the day. We are going to understand about how is civil union different from marriage. Okay, we are going to understand about how is civil union different from marriage. Okay, so these are two different terms that are used in legal cases. Okay, marriage we already know. Marriage, it's a kind of, you know, social contract that happens between two parties. Okay, one of the party is the female, other party is the male in normal situation. Okay, so a female and a male, they marry. So that is known as marriage. Okay, institution of marriage. It's a kind of, you know, social contract that happens between them. Okay, it's a contract. Institution of marriage is a contract, you know, between a male and a female. But like if we talk about civil union, the word civil union, what do we mean by civil union? Civil union means when two people having same sex, let's say two female persons, okay, they want to stay together for whole life. They don't want to marry with a male. Okay, they want to marry with a female itself. I mean, like, you know, they find their partner, I mean, like their, you know, same sex counterpart. I mean, like if a female is there, so she finds the other female to be, I mean, like, you know, to be her choice to stay with. Okay, if a male is there, so he finds that the other male is suitable for him, so he wants to spend his life with that male. That is known as civil union. Okay, it is known as civil union. So this is the basic difference between marriage and civil union. So now let us understand why this particular topic was in news. Okay, recently the Supreme Court of India has formulated a 5-judge bench. 5-judge bench means where the 5 judges of the Supreme Court of India are hearing a specific case, and whenever a 5-judge bench is created, that is known as a constitutional bench. Okay, 5 or more judge benches are created, that is known as a constitutional bench. Okay, so recently the Supreme Court of India has created a constitutional bench to hear the case related to civil union. Okay, civil union means, like, you know, the issue of same sex marriage, because now people are demanding that the same sex marriage should be legalized in India. So cases have been filed. The central government is one of the, let's say, like one of the parties to the dispute. Okay, one of the parties to the dispute. It is a respondent. Okay, and the people who want to do same-sex marriage, they are the, you know, they are the ones who are, what we say, who have filed the case, petitioners. Okay, so like in a case, we have on one side we have petitioners, on the other side we have respondents. So petitioners are the people like who are supporting the same-sex marriage, who are supporting civil union in India. Okay, so that's why this particular topic was in news. Let us understand in detail about the news itself, then we will understand little more. Okay, so here what they say, it says a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court headed by the Chief Justice of India, Justice D.Y. Chandrachud. Okay, so Justice D.Y. Chandrachud is the Chief Justice of India. So he is heading this particular 5-judge bench which is hearing the case of same-sex marriage. Okay, so they started hearing the petition seeking legal recognition of same-sex marriage. One of the respondents to this particular case is the central government. The central government is acting as a respondent in this particular case, and, like, you know, he said the I mean, like, you know, Solicitor General, okay, Tushar Mehta, he is, like, you know, appearing from the side of the central government. He said that, like, you know, these petitions, I mean, these petitions that are being filed in the case in the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court does not have, he says the Supreme Court does not have authority to decide on it, because now the central government is thinking of formulating legislation or formulating policies. So, like, you know, Supreme Court cannot become policy formulating body, because we already have a legislature in place. Okay, so the Parliament of India acts as a legislature, so they are going to legislate on this particular matter. But Supreme Court of India has you know, responded to it by saying that the scope of hearing, that why we are hearing, we are going to, the scope of the hearing would be limited to developing a notion of civil union that finds legal recognition under the Special Marriage Act. So the judges of the Supreme Court said that, like, we are going to look into the Special Marriage Act, and we are going to understand about what is the definition of civil union. We are going to decide upon whether you know, civil union and its relevance with the Special Marriage Act. Okay, so we have already discussed what is civil union. Let us understand what is marriage. Okay, so when two parties marry together, okay, so what happens after marrying? These parties, I mean, like, you know, they get some kind of right. One of the right is cohabitation. I mean, like, they start living together. legal recognition of cohabitation, okay, that is one of the right. Apart from this, they have the right of adoption also. They can adopt a baby like in normal marriage also. They can inherit properties in the sense the male counterpart, he generally inherits property from his parents, female inherits property from her parents. But like after marriage, if they have a child, okay, that child gets the right of inheritance. He inherits the properties from the partners. And apart from this, like once people are married, they are socially recognized also, okay, they are socially given due respect, they are socially recognized, okay. So that is the thing, like after marriage, okay, so people get many kind of rights. Similarly, if civil union is allowed, so that will also give some kind of legal status to the couple, same sex married couple, both the female, both the males, so they will get they will get a kind of what we say legal status, and it allows same sex couples specific rights and responsibilities that are normally conferred upon married couples, okay. Although civil union resembles a married couple, but like there are some differences also between civil union and marriage. There are some differences also between civil union and marriage. So we are going to understand about those differences as well, okay. So if we talk about civil union, the United States of America, now we are going to talk about cases of different countries where they have already accepted civil union to be a norm in the sense they have legalized same sex marriages in those countries, okay. So United States of America is one of the case in hand where the Supreme Court of the United States of America has legalized same sex marriage in the year of 2015, okay. And the name of the ruling is Obergefell versus Hodges, okay. So this was the case on which the Supreme Court of the United States of America have legalized same sex marriages. But before this, what used to happen, like you might be knowing that United States of America has multiple countries as part of it. There are around 51 countries who are part of the United States of America, and these are known as states. And these states had their own laws related to, these states have their own laws related to marriage, and many of these states have already accepted the civil union, means they already had a legislation in place, but United States of America in itself, they together they did not have this civil union kind of thing. Many of these states already had it, some of these states did not have it, so there was a kind of variation between the states inside the United States itself. But after this particular legislation, all the countries that are part of, all the states that are part of United States of America, they now have a similar law in place, okay, homogeneous laws with respect to civil union. And apart from this, if we talk about civil union, so if in India, if we give legal status to civil union, it will give many rights to the couples, same sex couples, rights like inheritance rights, employment benefits to spouses, joint parenting or joint ownership rights, and the right to abstain from testifying against one's partner. What do we mean by this? Let's consider there are two partners, okay. So in case of marriage, what happens if there is a husband, there is a wife, okay. If husband happens to commit a crime, okay, let's say husband has committed a crime and he is running away from the let's say police forces, right. In that case, the police forces may ask questions to the wife, but the wife has a right not to testify against her own husband, okay, if they are married. The wife has a right, because generally the wife knows everything about the husband, but she has a right not to testify against her husband. But in civil union, if that is legalized, in that case, if one of the partner happens to commit a crime, the other partner cannot be forced by legal authorities, cannot be forced or compelled to testify against her partner or his partner, okay. This is one of the right, and it is given, this particular privilege is given under section 122 of the Indian Evidence Act, okay, of the Indian Evidence Act. So I hope you understood about it. And apart from this, there are many other countries also in the world that have already legalized, okay, that have already accepted same-sex marriages, and these are those countries that have accepted same-sex marriages. One of the countries, United States of America, that we have already discussed. Then in 2009, Sweden has also accepted same-sex marriages. Apart from this, Austria is a country that has accepted. Okay, but later on one of the court ruling has actually nullified this particular thing. So between 2010 and 2017, Austria had the same-sex same-sex couples legalized. I mean, that thing was legalized. Apart from this, we have many other countries in the world, countries like Brazil, Uruguay, Andorra and Chile. They have recognized same-sex marriages. So there is a trend among developed countries across the world who have already accepted this particular thing. Now we need to see how this particular thing is taken care of in India, whether the courts allow the same-sex couples to marry, whether it is legalized in India or not. This is a matter that we still need to see, and the onus lies upon the government and the judges of the Supreme Court of India to actually decide upon this particular matter. Okay, till then the things will keep on coming in news, and we will be discussing about the latest development related to this. Okay, so that's all for the day. Thank you so much everyone for attending today's session. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.